Hi, Sam here at Model Chili Scale Models, and here I have Bandai's Shoretrooper from Rogue One, a Star Wars story, in a 1:12 scale. And I thought this would be a nice little kit to get. It's something a bit different from the usual Stormtrooper look, but I had to import it from Japan since these Bandai kits aren't available in New Zealand. I actually got this as part of a 2-pack of this and K2SO, so I'll be building him sometime in the near future as well. But I'll just have a quick look around the box. So we've got some nice artwork on the front there. And this Stormtrooper will also give me an opportunity to do a bit of weathering. So you've got a bit of paint scuffing around here and a few bits of chipping. So that should be quite interesting to apply to the model. And there's actually 3 different versions you can make of the figure. I'm not quite sure what these say in Japanese, but there's one here with like a little cloth skirt thing, one here with extra things along his belt, and another one there with a few less paint markings. So I'm not quite sure which one I'll build up at the moment. Probably the one with the little cloth skirt. It looks quite neat. Yeah, just some more pictures on the side there. So let's have a look inside the box. Okay, so we've got the instruction booklet, and if past Bandai kits are anything to go by, then this will be very descriptive, even if you don't read Japanese. The pictures are very clear about where things go and what to do. And just by having a quick look, this looks quite a bit more complex than the Stormtrooper figure that I did previously. And there's the painting and decal guide at the back. So all of these are decal options. I've had mixed results with Bandai decals in the past, especially on the Millennium Falcon kit. But I'll see how these go, and if they turn out to be a disaster, then I might just resort to the stickers or even painting. But it's nice that we've got plenty of options. And so you can see here the main difference between these versions. This one's got a lot more blue, and this one doesn't seem to be any blue on them at all. So that's quite interesting. And so we've got some sort of promotional leaflet, and the main bag of parts with the water slide decals, and the cream body armour. So I won't be painting this, I'll just be assembling it as is, and then just weathering and decaling, just like the Stormtrooper. And the second bag, got the stand, the sticker options, and these are the cloth areas of the armour, boots, and black pieces will be all the joints. Rightio, so let's get building. Okay, well, as you could see, the skirt was really fiddly and tricky to get on, but I managed to get it in the end. And looks pretty good from the front, but around the back it's all pushed out like there's just too much fabric, and there's no way to clamp it down behind the belt or anything. So I might just have to stick it on with a little bit of glue tack or PVC glue or something to keep it in place. I'm going to have to take it off before I do the clear coat spray anyway, so I'll have to fix that later. Okay, so that's the build all complete. So he's got his blaster there and the stand's ready for painting. And so now what I'm going to do is remove the skirt and start applying the decals. So I thought I would just run through some of the tools and techniques that I use to apply these decals to the figure. So my basic decal kit is a glass of water, it's just tap water, room temperature, a knife to cut out the decal, tweezers to dip the, this is one I've cut out earlier, dip the decal in the water, and just a few seconds is usually long enough, like that, and then just put it aside to let it soak for a minute or two, and then a wet cotton bud to position the decal, and a soft brush to apply the microsole once the decal has set. Now what this microsole does is it, as it says on the bottle, softens decals to conform to irregular surfaces. So basically it softens up the decal so it sinks into all these ridges and lines on your model, and it'll cling to all the different raised and sunken areas so it doesn't leave any air bubbles underneath. It also has a thinning effect. These Bandai decals can be slightly thicker than usual decals, so it helps thin them out a bit as well, to make them look more painted than an actual sticker. Okay, so this decal is ready to go. You can see it's freely moving on the backing paper. It shouldn't resist at all, and then you know it's ready to go. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of water onto the area where I'm applying it, and then just got to make sure which way this goes because it's a bit tricky to figure out. This way, I think. Just by using the tweezers and the cotton bud I can just slide it off onto the plastic. It doesn't have to be exact position because now I can move it. Okay, so this is my first attempt at the shoulder decal, and as you can see it's just crap really. It's completely the wrong shape. It just doesn't fit to the curves of the shoulder. I suppose I could try and apply some microsole to help it sink in, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, another one along there. Just all these different decals that are just going to be wrinkly and ill-fitting, and I just don't like them, to be honest. It's exactly the same problem I had with the Millennium Falcon kit. The decals just didn't work. Maybe it's just me, but I just can't be bothered really fighting these, so that's gone, and I'm just going to paint it. Right, so I've got all the pieces masked up. Thankfully the version I chose of the Shoretrooper doesn't have much blue on them, so I don't have to paint much. Just ignore the black on that, and I was going to paint it black first, but I then decided not to, so I've just washed it off. And my blue is 1 part Vallejo blue to 10 parts white grey. So I've got a nice pale light blue, and hopefully that's a close match. So these are the chest piece painted up. And actually one of the advantages of painting it is that I was able to just scrape away some of the paint with a toothpick to get a bit of chipping in there, which works quite well. And I painted this little bit here, which was also a decal. It's a bit of a waste of time really, it's just easy enough to paint it. But now I'm going to try applying one of these small decals, which since it sits on a flat surface it shouldn't be too bad. Fingers crossed. And that should go down about here. These small flat decals work okay. The Stormtrooper decals were small enough that they didn't really cause much of a problem. It's just the really big ones that have to fit over raised lines and over curves that I'm finding really bad with these Bandai decals in particular. So I'm just going to stick to the small ones and then paint the larger areas. Right, so he's been put back together, and despite all of the problems, I think the decals on the paint looks okay, at least from this distance. Yeah, so now he's ready for the first clear coat, and I'm just using Tamiya's gloss clear. So I'll just do a light coat on the whole figure, and then he'll be ready for a wash and some weathering. Right, so that's the gloss coat down, so you can see he's nice and shiny. And to start off with, I'm going to use Vallejo's grey wash. And I'm just going to apply that with a soft brush just over the entire figure. And it's going to look pretty messy to begin with, but once it starts to dry, I'll clean away the majority, leaving it in all the gaps. So with the wash all done, I've let it set overnight, and now it's no longer wet, although parts of it are a little bit sticky. So it should be relatively easy to clean off. So what I'm going to do is get a bit of airbrush thinner on the end of a cotton bud. I'm just going to wipe away the wash that's on all these big flat areas. And then I can choose which bits to leave to make them all weathered. And then I can just use a flat cloth to wipe away the thinner. Now I'm going to add just a few scuff marks just by using a hard brush with a bit of black paint, and then wiping most of it away. So I've got sort of a straight edge I can just dab on a few specks. I think that's a bit too much there. So one of the advantages of putting down a gloss coat is that you can just wipe away paint if you're not happy with it. Without affecting the paint underneath. So you can see sometimes it takes a few goes to get it right. There's no harm in doing it over and over again, just as long as you're happy with the final result. Of course, you have to get to a point where you wonder if you're using the right brush. Yeah, that's what I want. Right, so I've got a bit of a smaller brush and I'm just doing a bit more directional scuffing. I just looked up some more reference photos on the internet, and these are quite weathered, a lot more than I initially thought. I mean, they didn't seem to be. I don't remember them being that weathered in the movie. But all of the other toys, the Hot Toys, the Black Series, the Hasbro stuff, it's all very weathered. So I think I'm about there. It's probably needs to be a bit more weathered than this, but I'm pretty happy with how it's looking at the moment. I just didn't want to go as far as the Stormtrooper I did last time. That would probably be a bit too much for this particular figure. And yes, I did realise on this, the left shoulder pad, the blue wasn't supposed to go all the way down, as I had painted it. So I've just got a colour mix of Vallejo skin tone and just lightened that down with white to get a close match to the cream, and I've just hand painted that over, and I'll just do a bit of weathering on it to cover up some of the brush strokes. And this is the second blaster that he comes with, and I think he's supposed to be using this one, so I've painted that up in Vallejo's metallic black, and I'm just going to do a wash of black. Now, using Tamiya's Weathering Master, I'm going to use the mud colour, which is kind of like a lighter dull brown, and I'm just going to lightly brush that over his cloth pants, just to bring out some highlights and to hopefully make it look a bit more like cloth. It's a subtle effect, but it helps just to break up the big flat brown colour. I've left a little bit of the wash in the creases just to give it a bit more depth, and so this will bring out the highlights a bit better. I mean, a lot of this you're not going to see because of the skirt anyway, but I'll just keep going. Right, so I'm just getting ready to apply the final flat coat. And with multiple layers of wash and weathering and other bits and pieces, it's getting quite tricky to handle now without leaving big nasty fingerprints. So I've got the old latex gloves on and just checking, making sure everything's in place, because once I spray down the flat coat, none of this will be very easy to change. Whereas at the moment I can wipe stuff around and move it around and things like that. So it's a one-way ticket from here. And for the clear coat, I'll just be using Tamiya's Flat Clear, just straight out of the spray can. And once that's done, I'll start painting up the base. So there's the flat coat down. As you can see, it's a lot more flatter. And now it's time to reattach the skirt. Okay, so for this stand I'm just going to go for a nice beach theme. So I've got Vallejo's sand yellow, and I'm just going to paint the entire base. So for the stand I'm going to attempt some sand effects using Vallejo pigments, Desert Dust. And to fix it to the stand, I'm just going to brush on a bit of white glue. And hopefully I'll get some pigments to stick on. And just for a bit of colour, some light sienna pigments. Alright, so here we are with the final result, and it's not been the most smoothest of builds, especially with the issues around the decals, fitting the skirt and some of the other painting problems, but I'm really happy with how it's come out. So with the stand, I just put a bit more of the sand and sienna pigments and then just dabbed it with a brush and left it to dry, although there's still a few flakes coming off. That'll probably just happen forever. And with the skirt, I didn't glue it in the end, I just stuck the back piece here, just with a bit of blue tack, just to stick it to his butt. But there's still a little bit flaring out there. It's just, the skirt's just too big for his waist really. But from the front, it looks fine. And still getting bits of sand everywhere. And I guess the only knock I have against the build overall is just the this huge gap under his helmet. It really doesn't help sell the idea that there's a person underneath there. Just looks like an empty helmet really. But it's just one of the limitations with building a snap together kit, I suppose. But as far as the articulation goes, it's just like the Stormtrooper, and just on par with most action figures these days. But some of these parts, if you start fiddling around, they do easily come off. Like this hand, it's just basically held by friction. But as it's a model kit, I'm not really going to be moving it that much. And yeah, so let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed the video, if you've got any questions or comments, please leave a comment below, or a like or a dislike. And if you'd like to see more of these videos, then remember to subscribe. I've got quite a few more Star Wars kits coming. It's a bit of a Star Wars season really, with Rogue One out and episode 8 coming out this year. I've got a few more Star Wars kits in the backlog, and I'll eventually get to some more military kits and tanks and things like that sooner or later. So if you'd like to see those as well, then watch this space. And as I just fiddle with this, just to get them back in position. But yeah, so hopefully this video just highlights the fact that no matter what problems you might come across when modelling, if it's an issue with the kit or a mistake you've made, then as long as you've got the motivation and the enthusiasm, then you can pretty much overcome any problem. As you've seen, I'm not the most flawless model maker. I certainly do have my fair share of mess-ups and issues, but hopefully I've made some good of it. And just as a sneaky edit, one thing I forgot to do was compare the Shoretrooper with my Black Series Director Krennic. Pretty much the same scale. Of course the Shoretrooper is going to be a bit taller because of the stand. They're both 6-inch figures. And then there's my previous Bandai Stormtrooper, heavily weathered. So they're beginning to make quite a nice little collection, and hopefully I'll be adding more in the near future. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed that video. It's the first kit and video of 2017, and there's definitely more to come. So thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.